Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mr. Spriggan and I wanted to do a video on All Might, the man, the myth, the legend, the iconic superhero that's taken over the anime sphere in modern anime. And he's somebody that is pretty much loved by everyone. Everyone seems to like All Might, and despite his power being pretty much less than any other MC in pretty much any other major anime, he seems to have this feeling of he'll always get the job done and will be okay as long as he's around. But that being said, I wanted to see how he actually does stack up in no direct comparison to any particular anime, but just in general, power scaling him to see how much could this guy in his prime actually put out. Because unlike a lot of other MCs or protagonists, other main characters or dynamic characters we see in other stories, he doesn't start off in an early phase of his journey. He doesn't seem to get any stronger throughout the series. In fact, compared to his prime, he's always weaker. And compared to his prime, he's not just on the decline, he's really at the end of his ropes. We actually don't get to see All Might growing in his strength. We don't even get to see him at his peak. All we're seeing is a man who's badly injured and gripping to life, very, very near death in very many of the scenes he's in, coughing up blood constantly. This guy still somehow at the end of his life in almost the worst state that could be imaginable in this verse, as he has been noted by many doctors to basically be a miracle walking. The fact that he is not dead is a miracle. So with that being said, how would a hypothetical prime All Might stack up, especially when his current form is still a force to be reckoned with despite being so near death? Let's see what he would look like at his absolute best. To do that, we have to take a look at just how much weaker is this modern version of All Might. Is he 10 times weaker, 20 times weaker? Well, as it turns out, there's actually parts in the show and even in the manga that show a pretty mathematically straightforward decrease in power from his prime. He specifically says that back in his prime or heyday, he probably could have taken down the Nomu he fights in season 1 with at most 5 punches. I've seen multiple translations for this, but the consensus is 5 punches is pretty much the most it would take for a prime All Might to take down that Nomu. And in this particular fight, in his weakened state, it took over 300. Now, that's a pretty easy multiplier of 60 times. And if he is 60 times stronger in his prime, we can use that to mathematically see what he's actually capable of in his best versus what he's capable of now using feats like his tornado feat. He specifically punches the air to create a tornado and defeat the villain, which is a pretty amazing feat when you consider the first law of thermodynamics, which states that energy cannot be created or destroyed. That means that he could not have punched weaker than the amount of energy that's contained in a tornado if his punch caused the tornado. And it is explicitly stated that his punch did change the weather. And there's a lot of different interpretations of this scene. I'm going to just stick to the tornado for the math. Now, a large tornado has a actual energy yield of 383 gigajoules of energy. What that basically means is if we were to take this hypothetical All Might and use that tornado feat, he could punch at least that strong in his weakened state. And yes, that is for a large tornado. I understand that depending on how big of a tornado you want to use for this, you can definitely come up with different numbers. The reason I want to go with a large tornado is because I am showing how he would stack up in a general comparison to other anime universes. And so if I use this large tornado example, it kind of saves the conversation of, well, that's just because he used a small tornado. And in reality, he could punch probably a lot stronger if you use this tornado. And just to save from all that, I'm going to use a large tornado. And look, even with the large tornado, he's not really hanging in there with a lot of other anime universes. So let's get into it. The amount of energy in a large tornado, like I mentioned earlier, is going to be 383 gigajoules. That times 60, which is our multiplier for how much weaker All Might has become, so his prime would be 60 times stronger, at least, then that would give us 22,992 gigajoules of attack power potential that he could do. Now, what I did was convert that to joules, just so we make it easier to compare to other things, and that would be around 22 trillion 992 billion joules of energy. That sounds like a lot, and make no mistake, it's a lot. But what does all that mean? It's not really something that we can easily know off the top of our head. So I took a real life example to compare it to. That real life example is the atomic bomb, specifically the little boy bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima. This bomb was able to detonate with 63 trillion joules of energy, which is multiple times more than the strongest potential attack we can calc from All Might. Just to give you an idea of what that translates to in destructive power, that bomb took out and flattened 67% of the city's building and infrastructure, which is about 234 square miles of land. This is a very useful data point because when you're talking about moon busters and planet busters, and these are massive, massive amounts of land, and the energy that would be taken to destroy them is not even worth getting into. We are not a continent buster with the calculations we have for All Might. Again, 234 square miles, just to put that into a reference for how much land that is, the smallest continent on Earth is over 2 million square miles. This bomb was 234 square miles of destruction. All Might doesn't even scale to the bomb. So he definitely doesn't scale to being able to flatten that much land. And he definitely can't take out a continent. Unfortunately, I'm a huge fan of this show, and trust me, I want to see All Might punching moons. Now, I have done enough research to know that the interpretations for what it would take to do certain things is very insane, and a lot of calculations for being a continent buster is a lot lower than it should be, because it seems like people threw out numbers for what it takes to destroy a continent without using real life examples like the nuclear bomb we've already dropped and how much energy was in that. So now hopefully you have a new appreciation for what that means to be a moonbuster. Like, that really should go to show what it means to be a continent buster and a moon buster, and then let alone planet buster, and then oh my gosh, we all know it goes up from there. It's crazy. So with that being said, here's my scaling for All Might. Guys, if you liked the video, I did put hours and hours of research and calculations and going through what's good, what's reliable, what's not reliable, what's bad. So if you liked it, I really, really appreciate it. It means a lot, but please subscribe and leave a like. It really helps my channel a lot. I'm really excited to make more of these, and your guys' support is going to help them to get better and better each time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day.